And you, as a responsible black person, you should be offended by those remarks. Because basically what she's saying, all the rest of you black ignorant people is taking advantage of the system, are lazy. You don't aspire to be any. You want food stamps. You don't want to work. You want to blame racism for your problem. You don't want to take responsibilities for your actions. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Joe Behar made some scathing remarks. Actually, to me, they're very racist. She thinks that she knows what it's like to be a black person in South Carolina. And she actually scolded Tim Scott for not being able to identify that systematic racism exists in America. I mean, the nerve of her forming this out of her mouth. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm just going to show it to you in this video, and it pisses me off.
Tim Scott yesterday formally announced his campaign for presidency and laid out what he thinks the American people want.
Do you think GOP voters want someone carrying a Bible, or do they want someone driving a bulldozer into the Democrats?
The truth is that what people really want is an optimistic, positive, conservative, who has a backbone, but also believes that the best is yet to come. I don't think you have to be a pessimist to be strong.
It doesn't sound like former President Trump is worried about you.
Well, I'll say this, I'd appreciate his vote as well. So the truth of the matter is that I do think that the power of persuasion is necessary for the next president. I happen to look forward to being that next president, and so I will take all votes I can get from anyone, anywhere, anytime as I head into this election.
Would you ever try to overturn an election you lost?
No.
So, what are we actually seeing here? What's happening?
Well, isn't he Professor Positive?
I want you guys to listen to what she is saying. And I'm specifically talking about Joe Behar. Really listen.
Like Trump, everything's bad. There's doomsday. He's more in the Reagan-esque morning in America. Things are fabulous. And he's also hedging his bets. He doesn't really go out and say he's not pro-choice exactly. Although he did say, when he say that he would vote for anything they put on the table, the Republicans. So he is not pro-choice. And he's one of these guys who, you know, he's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
Yeah.
The audience laughed. What is wrong with pulling yourself by the bootstrap and doing the work? What is wrong with that? What is wrong with dedicating your time and your resources on something that you want to achieve? So you cannot, as a black person, you're not supposed to work and have good work ethics? That's essentially what she's saying. This Jewish white woman is essentially saying, oh, you don't get what it is to be black because you actually work. I'm totally offended by this because all you're doing is basically a racist remark. You're saying black people don't work. If you're a Republican and you're black, you don't get the systematic racism. You don't think racism exists. Why are you working so hard? You're black. You should be feeling like a victim here. And that's how liberals think of black people. They don't want you to work. How dare you have the intelligence to think something different than other 90% of the other black people that we vote Democrat? How dare you don't want to kill babies? How dare you disagree with me? Don't you know the systematic racism exists and it's stopping you from every angle from achieving what you want to achieve? It's stopping you from being, you're a Supreme Court justice. Clarence Thomas, you think he got there just by not reading books and working hard and studying, trying case after case after case? You think Tim Scott got there just off a whim and not pulling his bootstrap up? In South Carolina? We're talking about South Carolina here. And this man can't identify with the people. And this is not the first time they said this crap. Black people don't see a problem. And they're up there clapping and Sonny Hudson like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, she said that. Go ahead, girl. And you talking about another black man. that's successful, that everyone should be looking up to. No matter what his politics are, you might not agree with. Sunny Hostin ought to be ashamed of herself for being a black woman, and Whoopi Goldberg ought to be ashamed of herself. They should have checked her for saying that. Because he's successful. He's a successful black man, and he has no idea what being black is. Shame on you. But if you're black, liberals think if you're black, you're supposed to be popping that coochie, twerking on top of cars, got edges, fake eyelashes, fighting, can't read. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Got bad credit, on food stamps, on welfare. That's what you supposed to be doing as a black person. Not nobody like Tim Scott, because he don't identify. Because all black people are ghetto, can't read, and you know the white man is keeping them down. He don't identify as being black because he made something of himself. That's not the only time they did this about Tim Scott. And I'm not saying I'm gonna vote for Tim Scott because I don't believe in identity politics like they do. Now this is Whoopi.
Today's kids are growing up immersed in a culture where everyone's a victim. We have to start teaching the necessity of individual responsibility. If you are able-bodied, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. Can I get an amen?
Oh, you know, Tim, we should show this ad to your party. Especially if you're going to talk about personal responsibility. Yeah. I mean, you know, all of the talk about a victim. I won the election. I won. Come on now. This might have been a little much this year, you know.
So I've always loved Tim Scott. I knew when he was in the House. He's was the first black Republican senator in the Senate, which I think is great. I love that this is a contrast to Donald Trump. I just worry, I don't know if the party's ready for it. What Tim Scott brings is a traditional conservative that stands for something other than just grievance. He's somebody who wants to reach across the aisle when there's an opportunity to do that. He did that with the First Step Act and has made getting wrongly, not even wrongfully, but I'd say getting people out.
Her name is Alyssa Farah. She votes Republican. I don't know if she ever came out, but you could tell she votes Republican. And she's more conservative and maybe more in the middle of the road. I think she'll probably flip-flop in middle of the road, but I could tell she has the intellectual brain to decipher, okay, just because he's a Republican, that doesn't mean he represents all the Republican Party. He's running for president.
Out of prison who have been over-sentenced and trying to rehabilitate them and get them back into society. And my favorite is opportunity zones, which he's been big on economic investment in underserved communities, which I believe in this country, the dignity of work in a career, in a profession is the biggest equalizer. And it's a thing that kind of lets you create your American dream. Tim Scott's someone I could support. I'm excited he's in the race.
She also didn't mention when they were giving out PPP loans. So say, for instance, you were convicted of a crime. There's a rule where in the PPP loan and the SBA loan, you had to be sentenced, convicted, and discharged 5 years prior to applying for this loan. Now, you're a business owner. You serve your time, but now you are a pillar in your community. You have employees. Tim Scott and Cory Booker wrote into law where previously convicted criminals can actually get a loan for their business when the government shut them down. So when they say identify as a black person, well, you think all black people are criminals anyway. Doesn't that help black people out? Don't opportunity zones help people out? Getting those CDFI loans? Doesn't that help out black minority people? So, but you're saying that he doesn't identify as being black because he's successful or because he's a Republican. That's your real reason. Because he's a Republican and he's a conservative. And he believes in pro-life. That's Whoopi's real reason and Joe Barrow's real reason, Sonny's real reason, because he's a Republican. You cannot possibly be a Republican and black. It's like kryptonite to Superman. It's an atrocity because how dare you think for yourself?
Well, let me be the curmudgeon, I guess. I don't know who his message is supposed to resonate with, actually. He's talking about victimhood and personal responsibility as if people aren't taking responsibility for their own actions.
They're not, Sonny. Black Lives Matter is not taking responsibilities. They incite violence. They're not taking responsibility for their action. They're not. Let's call a spade a spade. One man gets killed by a black man gets killed by a white man. That's what basically happened. A black man got killed by a white man, and he happens to be a police officer. So we're going to burn this city down. And we call that reparations. And the people that burn that city down, or these cities down, live in the very cities that they burn down. And then you want to cry. You want to cry. Oh, we don't have any places to eat. We don't have any places to shop. We want to now, but the cop killed this black man. We want to defund the police. And now there's crime everywhere. Are they really taking responsibilities from their actions? Are they really? No, they're not.
The Republican Party has a real racism problem. I mean, and those aren't my words. Those are the words of Michael Steele in 2018. He was asked as and the former RNC chairperson that was the first black person to hold that position. And he said there's a real problem with racism within the Republican Party. And he should know. And so it seems to me that, at this point, Tim Scott is only polling at 1.8%. Donald Trump is still the front runner at 56.3%. And
these numbers are true. And that statement very may well be true. There's a racism problem in the Republican Party, and there's a very deep-rooted racism problem in the Democratic Party. You and I, as black people, if we're thinking logically, we've voted Democrat for 60 years. Where are you? Where are you? Where's your family wealth at? Does anybody in your family have jobs? Anyone in your family part of the criminal justice system? And I'm not talking about a police officer or a lawyer or anything like that, or a judge. I'm talking about they're in the criminal justice system. They're locked up. What opportunities you voting Democrat have Democrat gave you? Besides said, oh no, don't vote for them, they're racist. Okay, you've had my vote for 60 years. Where's my opportunities? You might not be saying, oh, Chawanne, I'm only 20. Ask your mama and your daddy, who have they been voting for the last 60 years? Can your kids read? Are they passing school grade level? Are they passing these standardized tests so they could achieve and go to off college and university and get a real college degree? Like these STEM degrees that actually pay money? There's a problem with racism in Republican Party. But you've been giving your vote to the Democratic Party for the last 60, 70 years. And you don't think there's a racism problem in the Democratic Party? People, wake up. Listen to what they're saying. So I'm not going to play that video. It was a couple of videos in there that the View was talking about. Tim Scott doesn't identify as a black man because he doesn't believe in systematic racism and oppression or being not responsible. He doesn't identify as a black person. And you, as a responsible black person, you should be offended by those remarks. Because basically what she's saying, all the rest of you black ignorant people is taking advantage of the system. are lazy. You don't aspire to be any. You want food stamps. You don't want to work. You want to blame racism for your problem. You don't want to take responsibilities for your actions. That's what Joe Behar and the rest of these crazy people on the panel is saying. Because you cannot identify as a black person if you succeed and pulled yourself up by the bootstrap, because you don't know the struggle for you to be black. That's what the Jewish white ladies told you. Have at it. You could continue to vote Republican if you Democrat if you want to. You could continue down that road 60 or 70 more years of not having shit for yourself. I'm done fussing at y'all. Please leave your comment in the comment section. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.